Welcome to the True Health Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Scarlett, board-certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, business owner, and the woman other high-performing women call when they're burnt out, stuck in survival mode, and ready to get back their life. If you've been told by your doctor that everything looks normal, but you know something's off, if your energy is tanking, your focus is scattered, and your body feels like it's working against you, if you're craving more capacity to lead, to scale, to show up fully in your business and for your family, this is the podcast you've been looking for. Every week, I bring you the real conversations doctors aren't having with you, from the truth about your hormones and metabolism to the deeper root causes stealing your energy. I'll share success stories from women who've completely turned things around and give you the tools and insights I use with my private clients. This season, I'm also sitting down with powerhouse women, CEOs, founders, and leaders who have made their health the foundation of their success. These are the conversations that change lives. So if you want real answers, more capacity, and the kind of results that ripple into every part of your life and business, you're in the right place. Dana, thank you so much for joining me again today. Today, along with every other podcast episode that we record, we have such an interesting and important topic to discuss with the members of Corfit today. That being the impact our thoughts have on our stress response. So that would be our cortisol response, and what is actually going on inside of our brains that is creating an environment inside of our bodies that is not allowing us to achieve optimal healing or optimal health, or sending us down a bit of a spiral that maybe puts our health backward.
Great. Yeah.
So let's dive in. The first thing that I want to talk about is that the brain actually doesn't know the difference between a real threat, for instance, somebody breaking into your home or a bear chasing you, and a perceived threat. So literally a thought of, I'm failing because I'm not losing weight.
Right. Yeah.
How do you feel about that scenario?
Oh, I totally agree. And I think if you start to really think about it, you can feel in your body some places like tenseness when you do start looking at your, for example, if you have a meal plan and you did not follow it 100%, it's easy to look at it and think, oh my God, I screwed up. I missed that one meal. I had something else, and just feel like, yes, the stress response. And it's so prominent, but we don't really think about stress in a way that like our bodies are creating its own stress. We're taught that stress is like being busy, or stress is a car accident, right? So yeah.
Right. And it's so interesting that, cortisol is kind of deemed this like evil hormone.
Right.
When I try to really debunk that with a lot of our clients and women that I speak to, because cortisol is actually a wonderful, beautiful hormone. It's very intuitive and it is so necessary in our bodies. It's just when it becomes so dysfunctional, and the dysfunction comes when we have all this external stress. So the things that we typically see, the financial stress, the work stress, the relationship stress, car accidents, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you start to compound that with our own thoughts creating that stress, or our own beliefs creating that stress, those are the hard ones to actually overcome, and even become aware of, as we were talking before we hit record. So today I really want to deep dive into this idea of our stress response and how we're actually creating it, and, potentially making it a problem or making it more dysfunctional, not to stress you out, not to give you something else to think about. But I also want to give new members, or anybody who feels like they've fallen off the wagon, that they have to start again, to just create really, really good and clear expectations around what your health journey looks like.
and should look like. And I put that in quotations because I usually hate the word should, because everybody is different. But if Dana and I today can give you some sort of expectation that healing is not linear, healing is not checking off the boxes, healing is actually becoming aware of what's going on inside of your body and creating new neural pathways to overcome whatever it looks like. And today we're going to talk about that stress response.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yes.
Okay. So, number one, like I said, Dana and I do this podcast because we want to support the women inside of our program a little bit deeper. And we want to talk about some of the real issues that our women are speaking to. And one of the ones that we have noticed recently is this expectation that women come into our program expecting to almost tick off a bunch of boxes and expect to be healed. When, yes, following a protocol is super important, right? Like ultimately, if you've got some parasitic infection or if you are dealing with something very specific, you do have to be very diligent and you do have to check some boxes. But there is a whole nother piece to healing that is about intuition, that is about awareness. And so, Dana, you speak to a lot of the clients more frequently than I do sometimes. What is it that you see a lot of the time, especially when it comes to stress response?
So I agree with you that yes, when you start a new program, there's going to be everybody in your program. We each get a protocol that's for us, and it's personalized, and there's things that we should be doing, and that's important. But it's this expectation I feel and see coming through from a lot of clients, and this happened to me too in the past, and my clients as well, where they start a protocol and they expect big changes soon, right away. Sometimes within as little as 3 to 4 days. It's usually around the 7 to 14 day when people start, messaging me and saying they're not seeing drastic changes. And that story that's going through their head as I read their responses or talk to them, there's this stress response. They're stressed. They're very worried. They're very concerned that, oh my goodness, what's going on? I am doing everything right and I'm not seeing anything change. And as that story is spinning, subsequent check-ins with me, I also see like the lack of improvement. It's not that they aren't improving, it's just it's slowed down from what the women who have just kind of trusted the process and accepted that for the first 4-8 weeks, I'm just going to do everything that I'm expected to do from Michelle, which isn't hard, which isn't a lot. And that's designed by purpose, right? So we don't overwhelm anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that just accept it, I see and feel the progress versus those of us that have that story in our head where, oh my goodness, like it's been 7 days. How come I'm not seeing massive improvements? And I think too, with a holistic health program like CoreFit, there's so many different pieces of health that are being affected that we have a goal. When I was going through my first iteration of health, it was weight. I had a goal of losing weight. I was not paying any attention to how I was sleeping, how I was like energy-wise, how my skin was, how bloated I was, anything like that. All I cared about was that weight. And then by me focusing on that number on a scale, I just went like I roller coastered for years. And now looking back, I'm like all that stress that I was causing in my head. And I do see that with a lot of, it's usually the new clients, and it's not their fault. It's just, I think how we've been conditioned through other programs and health apps out there that they promise us lose X amount in 15 days, take this 30-day challenge, and you're going to feel like a whole new woman. So it's not your fault if you're feeling like nothing's changing in the first few days.
Mm-hmm,
it's just what we've been taught, and we need to retrain our brains around that concept.
100%. We're taking on women into our program that have been conditioned with this like black and white thinking of like, I'm either succeeding or I'm failing. And they're looking at
Yeah.
one marker, what, like, you know, the scale or the size of their pants or whatever.
Yeah.
When you think about the idea of like reframing and like reconditioning or creating new neural pathways, that is something that you have to do personally, but you and I are there to support.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes when I see these women say things like this, what I try to remember, which is why we do the symptom checklist ultimately, right? Like we
Yes.
quantify a whole bunch of symptoms that are actually showing the progress, and wait as we get really consumed with that number and, you know, a bit tunnel vision for it. We just add it to that list. So if there's 50 symptoms on a list, weight loss is one of them, or weight gain, or
Right.
however you want to say it, is one of them. They are literally equal to bloating,
Yeah.
equal to digestive issues,
Yep.
insomnia, energy levels, hair loss, you know, those kinds of things, anxiety, depression. They are literally equal. And when you start to see, you know, new hair regrowth or better sleeping habits or more refreshed energy when you wake up, but you're not seeing the scale move as expected, I often try to reframe that and like, hey, you are actually seeing massive improvements in 3, 4, 7 days.
Yes.
It's just not necessarily the way you have put on your like how you've put it in your mind.
Yeah. Exactly.
So let's talk about this idea of expectation and what that does to our cortisol levels. So in my head, you should come into this program hopeful. Every woman should come into this program hopeful. There is not a woman that I haven't worked with that I haven't been able, or that we haven't worked with, that we haven't been able to help improve their, you know, quality of life, their longevity, their ability to lose weight, overall their optimal health and metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
Hopeful is what we want. Expectation is the thing that causes the internal stress response. It is this expectation of, like I said, if we check this box, this is the thing that happens, or this is what should happen. But why? Where is this expectation even coming from? Right?
Yeah.
So, what is actually happening in the body when we have these expectations that lead to these thoughts of fail or succeed? Like, tell me, the question for you: what is actually happening? I know what's happening in the body, but I want
Yeah.
you to talk about it too. So, tell me what is happening in the body when we have these like really black and white thoughts around what should be happening.
I mean, it is triggering that stress response. It's triggering cortisol release, which is a safety hormone. It's designed there to help keep us safe, right? Fight, flight, freeze. And a little bit of cortisol as needed is fine. But when that stress response is constantly fired from our thoughts, like things like that, there's biological mechanisms that start to happen where cortisol now becomes damaging. It can cause inflammation, which can lead to insulin resistance, which can then lead to more fat storage. And I mean, ultimately, I think that's one of the most important things women in a weight loss program need to understand is that cortisol is a fat storage hormone when it becomes a problem. And when we continue to think we're not doing enough, I failed, I skipped my supplements yesterday, I had a bad day and ate some cookies, we're constantly firing that stress hormone and your body doesn't know what to do and it's under attack. So what it's doing is rallying the resources, storing fat, so that when you are finally, when it's ready to fight, it's ready to flee. And the only way you're going to release that is when you finally start to realize that I am safe. It's okay that I skip my supplements. I skip my supplements all the time. it's okay. And I think this was the hardest part for me, was understanding how to give myself grace after realizing that at the time, thinking I screwed up. I'm not saying anybody's screwing up, but in my head, I was screwing up. I was messing up, and I would have those huge cookie binges because I was stressed, and afterwards beat myself up.
Mm-hmm.
And all that would lead to was more desire to eat the cookies and the carbs and the quote unquote bad food. And it wasn't, when I started to realize, it started after the fact, like I just ate a sleeve of Chips Ahoy cookies. Why did I do that?
Not even the good cookies, Dana. That's not
No,
even
I know.
cookies. Like,
Bad cookies.
those are terrible cookies.
Terrible cookies. It's Chips Ahoy specifically. That's what happened. And I would beat myself up so bad afterwards. And then I realized, I started sitting down with it and like, okay, I feel terrible. Why did that happen? And then you could think back, like what triggered me to binge a sleeve of cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And now, is this the end of the world? No, I feel terrible. What's going to happen next time? Like, well, eventually, I didn't do it too many times, but eventually after like those little binges, I got to the point where I would catch myself before. Be like, why am I starting to want to do this?
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's something going on. It's like my brain. And then, you just kind of like give yourself that grace. Take a deep breath. And it would really help to combat my binge eating, my stress response, my just overall feeling like I was failing. Because I think for me, and from what I've read and helped other clients with, it's all so interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to say, just do this to fix that. Because if I'm eating the bad cookies, I'm spiking my stress response. If I'm spiking my stress response, I'm also causing more inflammation, and then that wants more cookies. Like, it's just so. Yeah, I got off on a tangent there, but
Yeah, no, I mean, you did touch on guilt ultimately, right?
Yeah.
Like food guilt. So let's just say you have the thing happen. So you have a crappy day, you go into self-sabotage mode, you eat a sleeve of Chips Ahoy cookies. Then comes the guilt. Not only because you actually feel like garbage, but like who wants to be on this goal of, weight loss and then eat a sleeve of cookies knowing that you're like, potentially regressing in some way. That guilt, that feeling of guilt is keeping you in fight or flight also.
Yeah. And
right?
shame.
Yeah. Guilt, shame. We are in this vicious cycle, which then leads lots of women to continue this self-sabotage mode for a week, for 2 weeks, for a month, and cannot get out of it. So a part of what I wanted to talk about today was not only just laying out the issue, right?
Yeah.
So we've already laid out a couple. So actually around food, guilt, binge eating. We've also talked about this black or white thinking, this has to work or I'm failing.
Yeah.
These are all things that are keeping us in this place of this cycle. What are some things that we can do when this is happening, when we're not aware of it, right? What are some tools we can use to, I'll say snap us out, because I know one of the tools we're going to use is literally going to snap us out. But the idea is not to snap you out of the binge eating, or the idea is not to snap you out of the poor thought. The idea is to get you back into a place of safety, real physiological safety inside of your body, because it's that response that keeps the activity or the behavior going.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So one of the things that I loved as I was kind of preparing this today was women are so busy. So every single one of the women in our program are these high functioning women who, are often women who pull up their bootstraps and just keep moving forward. They're exhausted. They are stressed out. They have this black or white thinking. A lot of them are very A-type. I can relate to all of these women.
Yeah.
something that has helped me drastically in my life calm my nervous system and get out of that fight or flight response is actually slowing down. Like, just give yourself 5 minutes. Sit on the couch, put your phone away, because doom scrolling Instagram is not helping. That's not relaxing. That's not like putting your thoughts aside. It is uncomfortable to be quiet in your own brain if you've not done it before.
Yeah.
But to actually listen to what is happening inside of your body creates so much awareness and intuition that you could just go, oh, like, oh, I just don't feel good today. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes all you need to do, and the analogy when I was putting my points together was, it's like putting subtitles on your Netflix show and watching the dialogue, watching the thoughts actually move through your brain rather than having all of these fleeting thoughts that are actually just criticism, of your imperfections all day long, right? That lead you to this spike, that leads you to this self-sabotage mode that just spirals you until you feel guilty enough that your discipline kicks in.
Yeah.
To stop the behavior or whatever. And I think that, that goes along the lines of not just your behavior. I'm going to use your cookie scenario. It's not just binge eating, but like, let's talk about, some of the women who, when they first join the program, they don't see a result in 3 days. Even that black or white thinking, they need to be able to snap themselves out of it and change the dialogue from, I don't see any progress on the scale in 3 days. Oh, but hang on a second. My pants fit a little bit looser because I'm not so bloated. My skin feels a little bit clearer. I slept fantastic last night. And we have, and doing those things, retraining the brain in that way, when you're quiet, when you're watching the dialogue, right? When you're seeing the dialogue actually happen, those are the things that actually make the permanent neural pathway changes.
Yes.
That strengthens that muscle.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, like I'll use the word fail just because I hate the word fail, especially in this conversation, but I don't have another word for it. You might fail at being aware of this issue 20 times before you succeed at it.
Yeah.
Right? Like becoming aware of it.
Totally.
Like, I mean, so many people, of course. Like, and even us going totally, it's like, that's normal. It's hard. But like, so was the first time you did squats. You know what I mean? So was your very first push-up.
Yep.
But because we're so taught to feel things in a logistical way, and we're not taught to look at them in an emotional way, or we don't know how to, we just we kind of like, of course push-ups are hard. You're pushing your body weight. It's so logical. But like, so is going like, oh shit, my self-criticism sucks today. No wonder I ate a sleeve of cookies.
Yeah.
It
seems like we've lost permission to learn. Like, we just want to get the result without learning how to get the result. So like, you can't take a push-up. You can't sit on your butt for 10 years and then go down and do a perfect from your toes push-up. Like, you have to learn the form, learn where your hands go, learn where you start from your knees, you start from a bench, like you start all these little baby steps. And it's no different than, we're all relearning. We relearn how to eat, because how we were taught when we were little, which was a learning experience we didn't really pay attention to, is very different than how we learning to listen to our own bodies and learn how to eat and take care of ourselves, and learning to listen to that intuitive guidance and those symptoms and those whispers. And I think we just need to give ourselves permission to learn.
And if you fall flat on your face because you couldn't do a push-up from your toes the first time, It's not a big deal. It's
No,
expected. Of course you're going to
it
do
is.
that if you've never done
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right? So the
yeah,
first sleeve of cookies you eat, you go, oh shit, I'm going to
yeah,
try not to do that again. Next
yeah,
time you catch yourself,
yeah, yeah,
right? Or
exactly.
20 times later you catch yourself.
Yeah, yeah. I
What
agree.
is another way that
I
you've tried?
that I've tried. I really, you kind of touched on it, and I really like the idea of consciously choosing three great things that happened every day. It retrains your brain out of focusing on, that didn't change, that skill didn't change, I slept crappy last night, I ate a cookie, I didn't take my supplement. Think of three great things that happened, regardless, because every day there has to be three great things. Even if, for example, me, I woke up and the kitten was, one of my foster kittens was looking at me so lovely, like that's a great thing. And it instantly, as soon as you think of it, your body just relaxes.
Big
And
time.
so you're already starting to push yourself out of that constant stress response. And when you can push yourself, move yourself out of that constant stress response, it can open up your mind subconsciously to start focusing on more positives and awareness and, opportunities. So I like that one.
Can I
And
can I add to that? Because
yeah,
I've done that as well. And I think that women can get, or for me, so I'll speak for myself. I think that I could get very robotic with that and just be like, oh, like the sun is shining. Oh, my son slept till 7:30 this morning instead of 5 a.m. I mean, that one
yeah,
I might really embrace that one, but just I could get robotic and not actually feel a connection to those three things that I feel grateful for or that went well
yeah,
that day. And I think the key would be to connect to it. So like
yeah,
you said, your kitten, when you woke up this morning, your kitten was right there. And like, obviously
yeah,
kittens are so cute and fluffy. And how do you not feel so nice about that?
yeah,
But like to not just, you know, let it be a passing thought, but to
yeah,
actually like be still in that moment and be
yeah,
like, oh, this kitten is so cute. I'm so grateful to have woken up next to her or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Like to embrace it.
Yeah, the good things you have to feel like that's me. Like if I can walk by, I'm like, oh, my shelf is clean. That's not making me feel amazing. It's great,
Sure.
but when the kitten is smiling at me, I got to go to the beach today. Like just these, and that's me. Like the things that make me happy. It's little things. I look out my window and the flowers are blooming. Like little things like that, and I have to feel it. So yeah, you have to make sure you can feel it. I literally feel relaxed as I'm saying these things, and
Yes.
those are the little things that can start to. They may not be related to your health protocol at all,
That doesn't mean
but
anything.
it helps the overall subconsciously reframing your brain to focus on what's going well.
Yes. Yes. Amazing. Amazing. Yeah. And it stops that cycle. It stops
It
that
does.
spiral cycle when your body actually feels safe. It doesn't need to go down the fight or
Yeah,
flight path.
yeah,
Another one that I have given to clients, and I know we've spoken about it, and it's funny because I do it with my toddler and I've done it when training my dogs in the past, is like a physical snap out.
yeah,
So we've used like the elastic band idea.
yeah,
So you start spiraling, or maybe you're searching your fridge for that snack, that thing you
yeah,
wanted. Maybe you're in the drive-through at Tim Hortons or Starbucks and you're just getting a coffee, but then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, but do I want a donut too? And then you're like fighting your brain, like, yeah, I
yeah,
want it. No, I don't want it. This is a thing. People have told me they do this, and they're like literally three cars back going, am I going to order the donut? Having an elastic band and recognizing, snap yourself out of it. Literally
yeah,
have something physical that is like tinging your body to
yeah,
make you go like, okay, hang on a second. Let me get back into how I'm feeling. And what is it that I need to do in this moment? Do I want the donut? Okay, if you want the donut, enjoy the donut, but recognize that that's a choice you're making to either feel like garbage if you're somebody who can't eat donuts, for instance, Or is it actually serving your goals and your health?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing, like clapping your hands. I do this with my son. Yes, I do this with my son. He has an incredible ability at 2 years old to tune me out. I don't know how this happens so fast in life, but often I will be like, I will clap my hands. He automatically snaps out of whatever is going on because there's something, you know what I mean? There's something that's gotten his attention, and he'll look at me and I'll be like, oh, well, nice to talk to you. You know, you can do that for yourself when you are in that sort of spiral conversation of nothing is progressing or I am failing. Snap yourself out of it and talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
And
like
it doesn't. Yeah, and at this point, you might be thinking like, oh, but by the time I realize I've done it, it's at the end. Like I've done it, and so it doesn't really matter where you put that into the process. If let's take my cookie example. If I don't realize I've eaten a sleeve of cookies until the end, and I can still snap my fingers and clap myself out of it and be like, oh, okay, well that was not the best choice. What can I do different next time? And you'll slowly snap yourself closer and closer and closer to before you do the thing. Eat the cookies.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I have another one that I want to talk about, and not everybody is as lucky to have a support system around them. But if you do, for instance, my husband, you know, would be my support system. And he is so good. I have communicated with him that if I go down a spiral, and it doesn't have to necessarily be about your health journey, like you said, like, I mean, we've got a million things going on. Am I a failure as a mother? Am I a failure as a business owner? Am I you know, like there's a million things you can like spiral out of control about.
Yeah.
But my husband is so good at going like, okay, Michelle, I hear you. Let's zoom out. And he literally says those words, and I love those words. And he will say, like, is this going to matter in 5 years? This moment, is this thing so detrimental? You know, let's like really zoom out and see what, like, you know, what is the conversation you're actually having? And that just like brings me down to a place of calm that's like, you're right. I'm so stuck in this thought. I'm so stuck in this moment that I can't see outside of it. And he helps me see outside of it. So if you have a support system, a friend, a spouse, you know, whatever, anybody, or if you can remember saying that to yourself, let's zoom out for a second and just bring your body back to calm. So is there anything else that you want to touch on here about this idea of perfectionism, this idea of our cortisol response? I think I want to really drive home that if we don't get this piece of our thoughts under control, the stress response becomes more dysfunctional, which leads to more inflammation, which leads to more dysfunctional thoughts. It is a very vicious cycle. And for people to put their efforts into becoming aware of this, it's going to be so, so important.
Right. Yes.
For your health journey. I mean, you're just your journey in life in general. Like, who wants to be in that stress state all the time? It is hard, but it's like one of the first steps. That's what I want to drive home. What about you?
And not only is having a regulated stress response so amazing for like just feeling good and feeling, you know, more in control, but when we are constantly stressed, that can impact how our digestion works. And so you can be doing the most perfect diet and following your protocol, but that stress response is keeping you from absorbing the nutrients and getting the benefits from what you're doing too. And so it's not like, and when it comes to food, like it's not just about the food or the supplements. We definitely need healthy digestion for supplements too. And we just have to learning how all of these pieces go together and giving yourself grace if you fumble. Because
I like that word. I like that word.
You know,
it happens.
It happens.
It happened like for you and I, both health coaches, both doing this a long time, both gone through our own health journeys.
Yeah,
Fumbling still happens.
totally.
How can we not, like, when you said we have to give ourselves permission to learn, like, how did we stop that? How did we stop, with
Yeah,
this idea? Like, at what point in our lives did we go, oh, like, now we know it all and everything from here on out is pass fail,
yeah,
right? Like, that's
yeah.
crazy.
It is. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, we do. We have to give ourselves grace. And I think this like kind of intertwines with what we talked about on our last podcast episode, about holding on to this identity of a diagnosis, or holding on to this identity of like whatever has served us in the past. I think that, if you are, again, like you have anxiety, or you struggle with binge eating, or you are a perfectionist, or whatever you've self-proclaimed as well,
Mm-hmm.
all of those things are also creating that stress response still. And it's time that, and if it is causing that, it's no longer serving you.
No.
And so letting that go, giving yourself that grace, finding the tools, whether it's the elastic, the clapping, or the spouse support, or whatever, the self-coaching, finding the thing that works for you, that gives you the awareness to change the thought or to change the behavior, is like truly the next step into your health journey, into that bit of freedom. I use the word freedom because I was talking to Kirsten the other day, and I'm calling her out specifically on this podcast because I'm so proud of her. She had another stint of traveling a lot. And she, like, one of the first things she said was just like, my body, I stayed exactly the same weight after a number of weeks traveling and being like out of her own control with her food, not out of control with food, but out of her own control. Like she wasn't cooking. And her weight stayed exactly the same. And she still feels really great.
Yeah.
And she is somebody who was resistant at the beginning and then eventually learned to just trust the process. And that freedom, the food freedom, the freedom to just trust your body,
Yeah.
that is what has taken her this far.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Yep.
Yeah. So to your point in the beginning, like for those of you who are new, or when you jump back on the wagon, you get back on track with these expectations, that's where it can become more detrimental than just going, I need to just relax about this. I'm on a journey. It's not linear. I have some people behind me in my corner. I'm going to trust this.
Yes.
Those are the women that really see those results even faster.
Exactly. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Amazing. Dana, I hope this is helpful for everybody today. Please, I'm going to post this onto YouTube. We'll make sure you guys get the link. Leave comments or send Dana and I a message, an email, or through the app, and let us know if this resonated with you. Also, if you guys have topics you want to talk about or you want us to talk about, please let us know and we'll be happy to put you into the roster in terms of the conversation on our next podcast. Thank you, everyone.
If this conversation stirred something up in you, if you feel even a little more clear, more curious, or more inspired, share it. Send it to a friend who's been quietly wondering if the way she feels is just how it is now, and tag me on Instagram or LinkedIn at @MichelleScarlett_. I truly love hearing what lands for you. And if something came up during this episode, a question, a symptom, a story, email me directly at michelle@michellescarlett.com. I personally read every message and I'll help you get clear on what you're dealing with and what to do next. You don't have to settle. You don't have to figure it out alone. This is your space to take your health, your life, and your success back into your hands.